Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Captain Beard, Colonel Shaw, soon to be retired Colonel Harris, a distinguished guest, Ms. Goldberg, and all the CNTPers that are newly here, welcome. Thank you for attending the 120th Army Nurse Corps anniversary. The ongoing coronavirus pandemic has greatly impacted and changed our lives, even for how we hold celebrations. Although not everyone can be here today, I would like to extend a happy birthday to all the Army nurses, past and present. Furthermore, we greatly appreciate the support of Hospital Command, the Directorate of Nursing, Media Services, and all the services that helped create and organize this event. Nursing is and always will be a team effort, with each person bringing a special talent and unique gift to the group that together supports our mission of providing the responsive, innovative, and highest level of evidence-based care to service members, family members, and retirees. Once again, thank you for being here today, and please help me welcome Chaplain Verdeman for the invocation and Colonel Shaw for the opening remarks.
I invite you to stand as we pray. O gracious and loving God, you forgive all our sins and heal all manner of diseases. We give thanks for the women and the men of the Army Nurse Corps who have brought your gifts of health and healing to their fellow soldiers and family members. Bless each of these Army nurses in their individual missions and vocations. Grant a special measure of compassion, patience, knowledge, and skill as they care for their fellow human beings in their time of greatest need. Strengthen them in times of weakness. Comfort them in times of distress. Grant courage in times of crisis. Bestow peace in times of conflict. On the occasion of the 120th anniversary of the Army Nurse Corps, bless them also collectively as this organization supports and upholds the profession of nursing within the United States Army. Grant them leadership and vision that they may advance the cause and the work of Army nurses in their current missions and enable and plan for their success in future missions. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Oh, good. Colonel Retired Harris is here now. Yay. So good afternoon. I just want to say a few things, and first of all, just to say how honored and blessed I am to be able to serve as the senior Army nurse here at Walter Reed. Also very excited to be celebrating the 120th Army Nurse Corps birthday, and especially with our Navy colleagues too that aren't in the room, but just that we have this opportunity to serve jointly and then celebrate this birthday. The theme this year, Diverse in Talent, United in Mission, says it all, especially when we look back to this past year, as Lieutenant Beans already discussed with the pandemic. The Army Nurse Corps has a very proud history, and the last year illustrated how one event can show the Army Nurse Corps' diversity, talents, and unity benefited the Army and our nation. Nurses of every discipline, from the medics, the LPNs, and the registered nursing, and from every area of the hospital, from the public health to the ambulatory to the inpatient to the PACU, everywhere, has been essential components of the response of this pandemic. The diversity of our skills and the breadth of our nurses' knowledge and skills has been crucial throughout history to our nation's response for wartime and during this pandemic. We had a single unified purpose of making patients well again, and the quality that illustrates our unity and binds us all together is most of all that we care for our patients and families with all that we have as a team. I know without a doubt the Army nursing will continue to make a difference as we move forward, and I hope everyone enjoys celebrating this birthday and hearing from our two guest speakers.
Thank you, Chaplain Verdeman and Colonel Shaw, for the remarks. I would now like to introduce our first special guest, Colonel Retired Roy Harris. Colonel Harris hails from Sarasota, Florida, and now resides in Ellicott City, Maryland, with his wife, Lieutenant Colonel Retired Sheila Harris. Colonel Harris retired from the Army Nurse Corps in 2006 and was recalled from retirement to active duty from June of 2008 to September of 2009 as Chief of Clinical Nursing at Lawrenceville Regional Medical Center. During his 30-year career, he spent over 18 years as a critical care nurse, course instructor, and head nurse at multiple military treatment facilities, including clinical head nurse of the Medical Intensive Care Unit here at Walter Reed. Colonel Harris later served as Deputy Commander of Nursing at both Lonsdale Regional Medical Center and DeWitt Community Hospital, Fort Belvoir. Lastly, serving as Chief of the Army Nurse Corps Branch Human Resources, where he was responsible for all active duty Army Nurse Corps assignments. Colonel Harris holds many degrees: a Bachelor's of Nursing, a Master's in Health Services Management, a Master's in Nursing, a Master's in Strategic Studies, and finally a PhD in Nursing. Colonel Harris has been awarded the Order of Medical Military Merit, the Legion of Merit, Meritorious Unit Citation, and Superior Unit Service Ribbons. Colonel Harris is presently serving as part-time faculty in the College of Health Services, Graduate School of Nursing, Walden University, teaching in the Executive Nursing Program. Colonel Harris, please come present your remarks.
Am I allowed to take my mask off? Yes. I had kind of a brisk walk over from Memorial Auditorium. I knew that was on the third floor, but I haven't been in Clark in a long time, so my apologies for being late. First of all, thanks very much for inviting me today to share the Nurse Corps birthday with all of you. Nurses from our sister services, I assume there's some Navy in here? No, Air Force? And our civilian nurses. I don't know. Hard to tell the uniforms now from after I've been away for so long, but it's great to be here and spend some time with you. And I appreciate Colonel Shaw inviting me to make some remarks. So today we celebrate the 120th anniversary of the Army Nurse Corps. When I heard of this year's theme, diverse in talent and united in mission, it was clear to me the importance of our mission over those 120 years. I've been attending these annual celebrations since 1977. You can do the math. And over those years, I've seen many themes as Army nurses gather annually around the world to recognize the birth of our Corps in 1901. Mission is clearly at the center of what we do, and the diversity of that talent of our Army Nurse Corps officers has always led to the meeting or exceeding the mission requirements. On this day, in 1977, I was the only Army nurse lieutenant at Bassett Army Hospital in Fort Wainwright, Alaska. So you can guess who was placed in charge of getting the celebration together for the day. I guess it still works like that, I don't know. When I was given the task of setting up the birthday celebration to include the cutting of the cake, I learned about the history of our Corps from Army nurses I served with at Fort Wainwright. I had just completed basic at Fort Sam in August of '76, and my hair was darker, and I also was working with a lot of nurses from Vietnam. This was just a few years after Vietnam, so I was actually working with nurses and corpsmen who were highly skilled. They had been 1 or 2 or 3 tours over in Vietnam. So I served with some outstanding AMED colleagues there, even though it was a small hospital. It was my first experience and my initial glimpse into what I would come to know as the professional culture of the Army Nurse Corps and our focus on mission and readiness and service above self and commitment to our servicemen and women. Some of those early professional relationships have stayed with me over the years and for decades, and I still stay in touch with many of those folks today. So when we talk about our mission today, the focus is on all levels of the mission and readiness from the battlefield into peacetime. And look at the diversity of clinical skills and leadership responsibilities that have made a difference in deployment, in preventative care, rehabilitation of those who bear the emotional and physical scars of war, and the management of those with complex medical issues. As for many generations of Army nurses before us, we serve with our various diverse skill sets and experience, and we face that daily mission. But also the larger mission where we will be asked to deploy and support American sons and daughters serving in harm's way. This is especially true as the mission and operational structure continue to evolve. There are many aspects to our mission that need constant attention. It's about teaching and relentless training so all team members have the knowledge and skill to provide the necessary care of the battlefield, our ultimate purpose for serving. Our mission also means taking care of patients and their families. We are trusted to provide quality care, and this trust enables the warfighter to focus on their mission. Mission also encompasses the professional development of our next generation of leaders, some of whom I'm sure I see in front of me today. We speak today about the need for agile and adaptive clinicians who can lead in a multi-domain environment. This notion includes many realities that those of you that serve today know as working in this virtual health space or in a prolonged battlefield or combat or a dense urban environment. Your world today has also developed in a joint environment with your sister services. Mission ensures we support our Army Nurse Corps officers, our fellow AMED military, and our civilian workforce in all aspects of physical, emotional, spiritual, and social well-being in order to provide the best care to each other and our patients. Let's change gears for a second and look at some of the interesting factoids about the Army Nurse Corps. And I'm sorry if I'm repeating. I don't know what came early in the program, Janie. Okay. We are the oldest of the Nurse Corps, with our Navy colleagues joining us just 7 years later in 1908. Our Air Force colleagues joined us when the Army Air Corps evolved into today's Air Force in 1949. We have all grown to work in today's very joint environment. If you want to learn about the history of our Corps, I would take you to a great book called A History of the U.S. Army Nurse Corps, authored by Colonel retired Mary Sarnecki. It was published in 1999, and it gives us an in-depth history of our Corps from the time of the Revolutionary War before the Corps was found, and the events that led to the establishment of the Army Nurse Corps in 1901. This particular volume ends with the Vietnam era. Colonel Sarnecki completed a second volume called The Contemporary History of the U.S. Army Nurse Corps that looks at the Vietnam era till just before 9/11. The Corps has fluctuated in size based on the mission, naturally, starting with a Corps of just over 1,000 Army nurses and swelling to 21,000 Army nurses in World War I and 57,000 Army nurses active duty in World War II. Our history has taken us through multiple roles in combat, to include the Fall Corregidor in May of 1943, where 67 Army Nurse Corps officers were taken prisoner. And by the end of World War II, 215 Army nurses would make the ultimate sacrifice. Our service would continue through Korea, Vietnam, Grenada, Panama, Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and into our most recent service in Afghanistan and Iraq. So today's Army nurses also deploy in many joint operations and find themselves in harm's way in today's asymmetric battlefield. So today we remember our history, both as officers and nurses, leaders in readiness and professional practice, and we've been getting it done since 1901. It's a day to challenge ourselves to reach out for the Army Nurse Corps legacy. I would suggest to you that those of us who have served, who are serving, or who will serve, create that legacy from generation to generation of the Army Nurse Corps. Profoundly unique unto itself, but boldly focused on our professionalism as nurses. We serve with selfless service and commitment and duty to our country. Today is the day we can step back and reflect on the service, the sacrifice, the service, the commitment, the professionalism and duty by those who have gone before us. Through major conflicts, land battles, prisoner of war camps, and all military operations, Army Nurse Corps officers have been there and will continue to be there. Today, we are a corps of officers with many diverse experiences and clinical skills that prepare for whatever mission is in front of you. For them, as for many today, it is rarely the tangible rewards, but about the service above self, about being there on those battlefields and beachheads for all service members who put themselves in harm's way. And it's about service to country above all else. Before closing, I'd just like to share a couple remarks about the Army Nurse Corps Association. I'm the past president now. It's been a couple years since I've been president, but if any of you know about the Army Nurse Corps Association, have anybody heard of this? Does anybody belong here by any chance? All right, great, very good. Organization of over 1,600 active duty, reserve, National Guard, and retired Army nurses. And our vision is connecting generations of Army nurses. We stand in support of Brigadier General Jack Davis, Colonel Lose Foots, and the entire Army Nurse Corps leadership as you serve on a daily basis providing health care. I bring greetings and congratulations from our President, Colonel Dawn Flynn. She asked me to share this comment. Army nurses always have been ready to lead and ready to care since 1901, ensuring excellent care to servicemen and women and their families. The Army Nurse Corps Association connects generations of Army nurses in celebrating the past, present, and future of the Army Nurse Corps. And Colonel Flynn retired a couple years ago from the National Guard and actually is a retiree recall right now at Madigan, working up there. And she's our first we usually have had Army retired or active duty as the president, and Dawn is our first National Guard and reservist. Again, thank you for the honor of addressing you today. Anytime, anywhere, always ready. Thank you. I do have information trifolds about ANCA if you're interested.
Here's the three names if you want to.
Okay. Oh, okay. Let's see, just some. Major Aguirre, Lieutenant Boone, I'm sorry? Yes, Major Aguirre. Mask back. Lieutenant Boone and Lieutenant Oliver? Okay. No, that's what that's what happens when you invite a 70-year-old to read. I want to present the Army Nurse Corps Association coin to you guys for the work you did putting this together. I didn't get a coin when I did mine, but that's okay.
Thank you so much, sir.
Sure.
Colonel Harris, sorry, one more thing. Would you be able to come back up here, sir? We've got one more thing for you, sir. I'm sorry. So, sir, this is our thank you for coming today on short notice, but I hope you enjoy it, the snacks with your wife.
Great, wonderful, thank you.
Colonel Harris, once again, thank you for those inspiring words. I would now like to introduce our second guest speaker, Lieutenant Colonel Retired Cindy Goldberg. Lieutenant Colonel Retired Goldberg is a dynamic and dedicated senior nurse clinician with more than 35 years of clinical, managerial, and administrative experience in military and civilian healthcare. She served in the Army Nurse Corps for 22 years, retiring as a lieutenant colonel. She worked in many disciplines while an Army nurse, including head nurse of the Trauma Intensive Care Unit in El Paso, Texas, and as clinical nurse specialist in pain management, wound care, and orthopedic trauma at Walter Reed Army Medical Center. Prior to her current assignment, she was a member of the Acute Regional Pain Service at Walter Reed Army Medical Center and the Staff Health Lead for Disaster Services at the American Red Cross in Washington, D.C. Cindy is the director of the first and largest Joint Military Nurse Residency Program at Walter Reed Army Medical Center here in Bethesda. Walter Reed National Military Medical Center here in Bethesda, excuse me. She is most proud of being part of the first military nurse residency program to obtain accreditation with distinction from the American Nurses Credentialing Center. She received her undergraduate degree in nursing from Penn State University and Masters of Nursing from the Catholic University of America. She has held certifications as a board-certified med-surg and gerontological CNS and in pain management. She is the recipient of the Legion of Merit and the Order of Military Medical Merit Awards. Ms. Goldberg, if you would please come. Yeah.
First of all, I want to say hi to my dear old friend, Colonel Harris. Not old, just dear. And we actually served together at Walter Reed Army Medical Center many years ago. And I think I was a CNS when you were the CNOIC of the Surgical Intensive Care Unit. Do I have that right? What's that? You were medical. Okay, I knew you were both there at the same time. Yes, you did. You had it all covered. So I just want to take this opportunity to thank you, Lieutenant Bean, for this honor to be here today, as well as Major Gary, Colonel Shaw, and our nurse leaders, Captain Beard. So great to see you here, ma'am. And it really is an honor to be here. I wanted to start off by telling you that I never really wanted to be a nurse when I was growing up, let alone an Army nurse. It just wasn't in my head, and it just was not something that I ever wanted to do. Even when I got out of high school, it was like, what am I going to do? I knew I wanted to teach, but I'm like, was that all there is? So I'm not really sure. I wasn't sure where I was going to go with that. My mom and my grandmother, as well as a couple sisters, were nurses, and so my mother, she was a very pushy lady, but she really nudged me to go into something called the Army Student Nurse Program at the time. And this was a program where you gave they paid for 2 years of school, and you gave 3 years of service back. And I thought, you know what? It wasn't cool to be in the Army when I was at that age. Now, we're talking the 60s and 70s. So we're talking anti-military Vietnam War, hippies. I mean, I was totally in that genre. And so it wasn't something that I bragged to my friends about, saying, oh, I'm joining the Army. Not at all. Why did I do it? I did it for a couple of reasons. I was one of 7 kids. My parents could not afford to send me to school. They would have sent me, but I knew they would have incurred such a great cost to do that. So I really didn't want to have them do that. And so, let's see, I said that the going in, being one of 7 kids, and also just the payback, it just wasn't popular to be there. So I went into the military. My first duty assignment was at Fort Dix, New Jersey. And I wasn't far from Pennsylvania, so I could drive home when I wanted to, and I thought, 3 years, I can do this, and then I am so out of here. That's all that was running in my head the whole time. Not the whole time, but, especially when I first got there, I thought, oh, what am I doing? What have I done? And so it was a great opportunity. I met my husband there, and I also certainly had an opportunity to travel. And, I found out after I had been there a couple of years that I actually liked being in the military. And so meeting my husband, who was in the military, actually helped. We're stationed overseas. I got married in Copenhagen, Denmark, which was so really, you couldn't have ever told me that was going to happen to me. And yet it was a very exciting thing for us to be stationed in Heidelberg for 3 years. So I had lots of opportunities, and I'm not going to go into all the assignments I had. I had wonderful, fabulous assignments while I was in the military. But I remember when I was retiring in 1995, and I think I'm older than you, Colonel Harris. And I can remember when I was leaving going, no more OERs to write. That was totally in my head. And then flash forward to now. I have been out of the military for 16 years and came back in. I was doing healthcare. I was working in telecommunications, so I was doing things that weren't healthcare related. But that military, that club, you know how it is, right, Colonel Shaw? It just draws you right back in. And so I came in for a number of reasons, but it was the best decision that I ever made. So I've been here in this position for the past 10 years, and I've loved all of it. I've just loved the Walter Reed family that's sitting out there. We have some of our junior nurses sitting in the audience, and I'm so proud of each and every one of you. You guys, or not you, ma'am, but you and Lieutenant Oliver were in the program, so it's so great to even see you again. But, and then back to the whole OER thing is that I've written now over 300 OERs. See what happens when you say something like that, no more OERs, and then here I am back into it. But it's all good. And the thing that I found just being a nurse and an officer, I mean, so you're dual-hatted when you're in the military. And it's such a privilege to be in that group. What opportunities do you have? You have the opportunity for leadership at an earlier stage than anybody else. I know civilian nurses that have been in their positions, like as what you would call service chief here, or CNOIC, for 20 years. So you don't necessarily have a lot of upward mobility when you go to a civilian institution or healthcare area. So that's one thing. The education, I got my master's degree while I was in the military, and so that was another thing, as I'm sure most of you are aware. The sacred mission that we have to care for wounded warriors and their families, there's like nothing like that on the outside. Traveling, again, you have opportunities to do that. And then lastly, I just want to mention deployment, which is such a big thing. I did not get to deploy. I was, the closest I came was 1990 when Desert Storm was going on, and I got pregnant. So I was on the list to go and never went. So I have not deployed. And so I would ask any of you, how many of you have deployed in the audience? Raise your hands. Okay, quite a number. How many of you deployed during COVID? I've got 1, 2. I see you, Captain Craig. Okay. Any others up there? And how many of you deployed more than once during COVID? 1. Captain Craig, I know you have. Yes. Okay. So that is really something. So I would say, just 100 years ago, what were they facing in 1918? What was happening? World War I, and right, the Spanish flu, absolutely. So they had their own pandemic. We had 50 million people worldwide that died in the, that died from influenza at that time. 500 million actually were sick. And there were 637,000 that died in the United States. So of that 50 million, that was 1%. We now have 2.4 million that are worldwide that have died from the coronavirus. We have 442,000 who have died in the United States. What percentage do you think that is? 20%. So that's certainly a lot more, and you would think that probably, it should just be the opposite, right? Because we have better technology and everything right now. Back then, in World War I, we had about 400 Army nurses that started out, and they ended up, 20,000 nurses that were in that workforce, half of them went to France. So that was the lure to even get them to come in. Even in the reserves, the Army Reserves was, you get to go to France. But it wasn't necessarily a great thing to be able to go to France. We had about 200 nurses that died from the influenza. Nurses then were making $62 to $70 an hour. So, it was the lure of travel, I think, that brought them in, and their dedication to the health care. And so we have had 1,500 nurses that have died so far with COVID, and that's worldwide. So that is quite a big number. So the nursing care absolutely impacted the mortality and morbidity to cause those numbers to go down, and we know that is certainly true in the current pandemic. There is an article in Military Medicine. I just pulled it off. This is it right here, and it's called The History of Military Nurse Corps and the 1918 Influenza Pandemic, Lessons for the 2019 Coronavirus Pandemic. Just got published. And it has one comment in there that says, military nurses are more than the sum of military officer and nurse. They have that culture of integrity, honor, adaptability as core values. The other day I was watching a Showtime movie, and someone made this comment on there, and I thought, this is just so true. It said, you never know where life is going to line you up just perfectly and walk you right into your future. So, you know, that's exactly what happens. You never know what's around the corner. I would never guess that that I would be here, standing here, so long ago. So again, it's my honor to be here, and I thank you so much for the privilege to do this. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Goldberg. I call her Ms. Goldberg because I was also one of her CNTP students. Starting life as a new nurse is both an exciting and at the same time nerve-wracking experience. I found that our schooling does an excellent job of preparing us for many challenges. However, experience also plays a large role, and experience is something you can only gain over time. However, even the most experienced nurse was once the most junior, so please let me introduce one of our most junior nurses here at Walter Reed, Second Lieutenant Philip Nichols. Second Lieutenant Nichols currently has 4 months of active duty service. He graduated from the University of Texas and recently from Basic Officer Leaders Course in December of 2020, arriving here at Walter Reed on the 27th of December. His current aspiration is to be a critical care nurse. We are excited to have him here today and to welcome him to Walter Reed. I would also like to extend an invitation to our most senior Army nurse present today, Colonel Shaw, with 34 years of active service. Thank you for helping to organize this event and for your continuing support of junior nurses. Traditionally, an Army Nurse Corps birthday finale has a cake cutting ceremony followed by wonderful cake with the most junior and senior nurse present. However, due to COVID-19 and guidance provided by Hospital Command, we will still be cutting the cake. However, upon dismissal, you are going to enjoy one of the prepackaged cupcakes for yourself. At this time, I would like to invite Second Lieutenant Nichols and Colonel Shaw to please cut the cake. On the back. I would like to invite Captain Beer to provide closing remarks.
Happy birthday. You guys look good for 120 years old. This is my first joint tour. I worked with the Army before when I was here when it was National Naval Medical Center, but we had very few Army nurses here. And I was in labor and delivery, so that's where we had our Army nurses. Very few of you guys. So I didn't really get an opportunity to really work with you like I work with you now. I was deployed in Afghanistan. I'm a midwife by training, and I worked with the Army. Of course, we know they're not having babies over there, but I was there to assist in assessing Afghans to be able to train with the Special Forces. That was interesting for me, and I wondered why the Army chose me, because I'm a midwife. Why did they want me to do it? You guys, Army, the saying, diverse in talent, that's what the Army goes by. You guys live by that every single day. So being a medical personnel, we should be able to do whatever needs to be done medically. Well, not so much in the Navy. I have been a midwife for so long. However, you guys didn't let me down. The Army took care of me. They made sure I had everything I need to be successful in that mission, and I do appreciate that. We had a lot of casualties over there, and I can tell you, being the only female on the team, my Army brothers made sure that I wasn't one of those casualties. We didn't have a whole lot of Army nurses over there, but we did have Army medics. And that was the stint of my working with the Army. Now that I'm here, the talent pool that we have, I look around, this is amazing. Lieutenant Beam, Colonel Shaw, Major Geary, about to mess your name up, sorry. You guys did a phenomenal job putting this together. Thank you, Colonel Harris. Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Goldberg, for those nice and inspiring words to our colleagues here. Working with the Army nurses here have taught me a lot. I learn every single day. You guys are dedicated. You don't stop until the job is done. You would be here all night if needed without a complaint. I can appreciate that. I enjoy working and serving with you every single day. You guys have made my job here so easy, and I really do appreciate it. I can't tell you the talent that you guys possess, and we say united in mission. You live by those words. It could not have been a better slogan for this year. We talk about COVID and everything COVID has done. I mean, I know the Navy and the Air Force also deploy in times of COVID, but I have not seen more than the Army. The number of people that deploy in the Army, and you are happy to go. You volunteer to go. You do it with a smile on your face. And I can appreciate that, because for us to go out there, it means we're needed. And you guys, you go out there, you do great work, and how do I know? I get phone calls, I get emails back, and I sit there like a proud mother with a big smile on my face, because I know you guys go out there, you take that passion that you have with you, and we take care of those people. And when I say those people, Army, Navy, whoever's out there, mostly civilians, but you're out there and you care for them as if they're your own family. I can really, really appreciate that. And here, you do the same thing. I am in awe with your patience. You're very patient with our patients. You're very patient with each other. And you're very patient with your leaders. Your commitment and dedication to the mission and to the duty, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Whatever we ask you to do, you're front and center, always ready. Your commitment, your knowledge, the teamwork you display, and most of all, I am in awe by your leadership, starting from the very second lieutenants all the way up to the colonels. You guys lead by example. I appreciate that. I want to thank you, and I want to give you a round of applause, and I want to say thank you for being here with us, and happy birthday again. I appreciate you guys. Now I think it's time for the Army song. Thank you, Lieutenant Bean.
On the back of your program, you'll find the words to the Army Nurse Corps song. We do have music. Please follow along if you would like to. If not, please just stand. Thank you. We march along with faith undaunted. Wherever they are sick or wounded, we nurse them back to health again. As long as healing hands are wanted, you'll find the nurses on the floor. No, you're good. All right, everyone, this concludes the 120th Army Nurse Corps anniversary celebration. Thank you all for attending, for being here today. As Colonel Shaw described, Army nurses, and Captain Beard as well, Army nurses are diverse in talent and united in mission. And on behalf of my coworkers, I am very proud to be a nurse, but I am even more proud to be an Army nurse. Thank you.